So how is everyone doing on a Saturday afternoon? How's the Josh? So this is something I've heard quite often, and I really don't know the reference. I'm coming back on stage at NL Dalmia after exactly a decade. I was here when I was in probably my 8th grade or so. I was attending a debate competition, and obviously back then I didn't win. It was about Gandhiism and the peaceful lifestyle that Gandhi led, and I was for. And considering me being the rebel, it didn't really match my vibe and a person that I am. So the presentation, the first step is to be bold. How many times on a regular basis do we hear the statement, the first step is to be bold? We read it in books, newspapers, we watch TV shows, we watch movies, and we also understand that everyone is asking you to be bold. But what does bold actually mean? What do you want to do in life when you're actually going to be bold? Do you have to be dressed in a certain way? Do you have to talk in a certain way? Do you have to walk in a certain way? I was always questioned as an individual by my family, by my friends, by everybody while growing up. So that is like a little bio I have. Harsh Kedia, 22, food, fashion, marketing, TEDx. And let's actually assume it's an actual intellectual headline. Because honestly, I myself have no idea of how do I introduce myself at most times. So I just be me. And that is actually the first step to be bold. You be yourself. When you try to imitate someone else is when you lose the essence of being yourself. And when you start losing the ideology of self-identity. You should always identify and be yourself because someone else is already busy being themselves. When someone asked me, do you want to be Gordon Ramsay? I said, I'm not that rude. I'm not that person. Then they asked me, do you want to be Sanjeev Kapoor? I asked them, do I look 45 years old? I don't know his real age. But then I thought, nahi yaar, I don't want to do TV cooking shows. Then I moved on to fashion. Then everyone asked me, do you want to be Manish Malhotra? I said, nahi yaar, that vibe is not setting in. Like, I'm not that person. That's when the dwelling of the idea came that I want to be Harsh Kedia. I want to be myself, and that is exactly what everyone should do. You should be yourself and do it your way. Let's go back with a little story. When I was 15 and like they very correctly introduced me, I was detected with diabetes mellitus. Can I have a show of hands of how many of you know someone who's diabetic or diabetic yourselves in the family or friends? Wow, that's quite a lot of us. So I would raise my hands too because I'm a diabetic for the last 7 years. And India is leading in the number of diabetics around the world. We are ranked number 1 for this simple reason. And it's not the best thing to have, especially when it adheres to certain norms that you have to follow. But when you control it and when you follow a certain routine and when you're disciplined in your life and your lifestyle, you can control it. So many times these agony aunts and masis and boas have come to me and been like, beta, tumhe diabetes hai. I look at them, I'm like, haan, to? What's wrong with it? I don't get it. And similarly, we treat our grandparents. Like, my grandmother was very close to me and she passed away 4 years back. And every time someone would go to her and offer her food, they would give her plain food. And I would go and sneak her brownies. I'd be like, Dadi, ye khao. I'd be like, sugar hai beta. I was like, Dadi, isme sugar nahi hai. Which is when I was at the age of 15 and I started baking diabetic-friendly brownies. I thought that this little piece of chocolate infused with a little ragi, a little biscuits and a little sugar-free or a little stevia that I use on a regular basis and a little milk which is fat-free and fat-free butter, if I can make a brownie that probably tastes as good as something that you can buy in the market, then why not? Why shouldn't we go with the idea of having something to eat just as any other person would, as we should as a diabetic? So I started a page on Facebook called A Diabetic Chef, and since I'm a marketer, you can go and follow me on Instagram. So I started that page and I promise there was no profitability factor or like a revenue model involved in it. It was a simple page to form recipes, write recipes and blog. Because blogging was the new in thing back then, like photography is for engineers. So that time I wanted to be a blogger on the internet. I wanted to be a blogger and I wanted to write stuff. And that time, I didn't know what a startup meant because I was in 11th grade in commerce. That time, they were called small scale businesses. So with no investment and nothing much to do, with a shared laptop of my brother's, I used to write and post pictures of the food I used to make. That time, I think Samsung was the in phone company, right? My father had an S1 or S2. That's a phone, right? Yeah. So with my father's phone, I would click pictures, put a USB, put it on the laptop, put it on the internet. 1 like, 2 likes, 3 likes. And you know how I used to get these? Hey, like कर देना यार. Hey, please, आज post किया है. Promise pasta बना के लेके आऊँगा. So I used to tell my friends to do these things, and this is how it organically grew. I remember having about 50 to 60 likes of my teachers, tuition teachers, aunties, the same agony aunts, and all these people who actually helped me sort of gain traction and reach out to people. Then one day, an organization, which was my own college, told me when I went to college and like fast forward in time, why don't you put a stall in the college? I thought, मैं stall में क्या करूँगा? What am I supposed to do there? So my senior said, you bake brownies and you sell brownies. I said, only brownies won't work, right? So I picked up some recipe books. I manipulated a few recipes and I made some cupcakes and chocolates and blah, 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 tarts, cheesecakes. Everyone likes cheesecakes? Yes, no? Yeah, I made diabetic friendly cheesecakes. Beat that. So I made a lot of things and I was like, if I tell people that these are sugar free, they won't buy it. So I didn't write any of that. I just wrote Harsh Kedia, first year college, and I put my stall there. Kapda lagaya, I put a nice tablecloth. I put tissue papers, plates and stuff, and I started selling. 40 rupees a cupcake, 50 rupees a brownie, all sugar free by the way. This began my entrepreneurial journey. So it was a 3-day college festival and I decided to sell. On the first day in the evening, I realized I'm out of stock, which meant I had sold out and I had my first 5-figure sum in my hand, which I had earned by myself. I thought, how did I make so much money, yo? It was like 20,000 or something. Now I didn't know what to do with the money. So I was like, come friends, let's party. With no ambition then, with my own startup that I could have actually channeled the money into, which most of us do. How many of you all have had your first salaries with your internship stipends and stuff? Come on, be honest. No pocket money time anymore. You all are an MBA. So, how many of you all decided that I will save this money, I will invest it, I will do something with it that I actually love to do? This is hardly like 5% of the entire audience. I was the same as the 95%. I splurged it. I bought clothes, I went partied, NSFW, and all of that. And then what happened was I was left with no money when I actually wanted an oven. So what I did was, I started working at restaurants part-time. I would tell them that I have no skills to be a hotelier because I haven't studied it. So I'll work as a waiter. So I used to wait at a cafe near my college. Then the other restaurant, I used to manage the social media, which began my social media journey. I did a lot of things. Bahut papad bele. This is when I was 17, 18 years old. Then I realized that the thing I was working towards, the reason why I was saving money, I could have achieved it faster. Which is when I was introduced to the idea of finance. I started borrowing money. Have you all studied borrowings? Yeah, cost sheet, balance sheet, I don't know how it works. My CA does it. But you all know how it is. So yeah, so borrowings. I started borrowing money from my friends. I said, bro, I need 500. Hey, can I get 1,000 rupees? Blah, blah, blah. And then with my earnings of 8,000 a month and 8,000, 10,000 I borrowed, I bought myself an oven. I bought myself a beater. And by now, I was not borrowing and using stuff from people. I was actually baking in my own equipment. So then I had decided to set up something of my own and do it. So in college, I came up with my first ideology. Whenever someone tells you that you can't do something, do it thrice and take pictures with it. When my father told me you're a boy, you shouldn't cook, and my friends told me that you're fat, don't do fashion, I was 105 kilos in college. And a lot of people told me a lot of things that I couldn't do. And I had decided, जिसने जो बोला नहीं करेगा, I'll do it 3 times and I'll take pictures. Which by the way is another thing I'm doing right now, there's pictures being clicked. while I'm doing this, and someone said, you're going to be terrible at presentations because you're not so presentable. I said, cool. So exactly, the first step is to be bold. So then I went on with it. I took up my venture very seriously. The second words, take your tragedy and turn it into a platform. Can anybody point out what my tragedy was in life? So diabetes was my tragedy, and I turned it into this, A Diabetic Chef, for the health of it. Do you all remember when someone says for the health of it, the health is supposed to be substituted for things. So you should always keep faith in yourself. Today the company is 7 years old, and it is doing pretty okay considering Mumbai standards and business, to be very honest. We broke even once and then we went to losses again, but that's okay. It's absolutely fine for a business to have ups and downs, and that is just how it works. The day you decide to give up on a certain venture is the day you actually lose out on the essence of why you started it. You should never forget why you started doing something. For example, reading a book. Why would you start reading a book? For entertainment, to learn something. And by books, I don't mean your textbooks. I mean like books, like novels. Like I like to read about past life regression. I like to read about human psychology. The reason I read it is to know more about myself and to explore the inners of me. Yeah, I sound like a 40-year-old, but I'm not. But these are the kind of things I like. So the reason I started A Diabetic Chef is the reason I'll continue it, to reach out to more people. Profitability was never my motto in life. So then comes my next venture, House of KD. KD was my nickname while growing up in school and college. Everyone used to call me KD because KD, yeah. And they said like, it's a cool name to have for you. And I said, theek hai, like sounds like a nice name for me. While college got over and I decided to like dress up like flamingos and stuff, I thought I should wear what I deserve to wear and what I want to wear. So I went to Zara, because Zara, and everyone loves Zara. And freshly I was making money. I wanted to buy expensive clothes because that's expensive luxury. I entered and I saw this one beautiful shirt, like a nice striped shirt that looked like a Gucci, but it was a Zara, and I wanted it. I went and asked the sales girl, how much is this for? Sir, this is ladies section, gents section is there. I said, but I want to pay for it. I want this shirt. What is your problem? If you want to try it, you cannot try it because this is ladies section. You have to go there. This thought went on in my head 5 times. There are a lot of sisters of mine who come home, take my hoodies, wear it, and comfortably sit. Why can't I wear their shirts? If I want to. It's a beautiful looking shirt, come on. She didn't allow me. So then I went back, I did some research. How do you make clothes? It wasn't that difficult. I wanted to make clothes for myself. Then I went to the market, I saw some fabrics. I said, ye to bada mehenga hai. Let's go home. I learned a little Photoshop, Lightroom, Corel Draw, designing. Raat mein like you know the 2 to 5 timing in the night, the most productive time. Being an insomniac, it was the best time for me to learn designing. I started learning how to design, then stitching, then printing. My father's a sari wala. Like he manufactures saris, so who's the better person to ask than my own father? I asked him how to do it, he's like, do it yourself. I said, cool, let's do it. I ran around how to learn designing, stitching, or getting the prints done. I started wearing them to parties. Oh my god, you look so cute in that shirt. Thanks, you can buy it too. I went to Lakme Fashion Week wearing my own clothes. A designer gave me his card. Contact me. Sure, I will. We got in touch on email, Instagram, we became friends and BFFs, and then fashion was my thing. A Diabetic Chef was still going on. I reached out to more people who thought that gender is actually greater than clothing. What you wear is what you identify with and not the gender that you need to conform to. Then I met a lot of people who are gender non-conforming. Does anybody know what gender non-conforming means? A person who does not identify with a certain gender, not a transgender person or intersex, they're just gender fluid. So I thought, let's keep this brand and the identity of this brand gender fluid. So if you come and try buying clothes from my brand, it won't ask you an M or an F. It'll just ask you your size. And there are free size clothes also available. So going ahead with the idea of doing House of KD and A Diabetic Chef, I had people managing my businesses. Then I got a little free. Then I used to start on Instagram. How many of you like Instagram? Everyone loves Instagram. So I thought, since I'm driving so much business for my own businesses with Instagram and I'm bored of my businesses because how much content can you write for yourself? I want to write content for others. Then came brand and butter. So brand and butter is 360 solutions for your brand when you come to me as a client, and I will give you branding solutions for it. So I started handling celebrities and digital marketing projects for a lot of brands. This was my third and most favorite venture, and it's still, I mean, I shouldn't be favorable towards it because I get to work with new brands every day. Like if a celebrity comes to me and talks to me, hey, you know what, when I wake up in the morning, I don't like to look at my Instagram. I said, so do I don't like to look at it. Let's change it. Let's make some beautiful changes to it. And trust me, I hope they don't see this video. Sabka strategy same hai. Like a Monday post will be a Monday motivation post, a Tuesday will be a video, a Wednesday will be a woman crush Wednesday, or a motivation Wednesday, Thursday will be an evening post of a poll on Instagram stories, and a Friday will be a repetitive Friday motivation of going out and partying or getting dressed for a party. But the idea is to create content and actually do something about your passion. I'm addicted to my phone. Like even when I was sitting here and the meeting room inside, when they were talking, I was listening to them respectfully, and as soon as we would stop talking, I'd be like, Instagram. Aaj kitne likes hai photo pe? Aaj kya hua? And then switching between brands. And you actually get paid for it. So the whole idea is that you take your first step towards creating something for yourself. How many of you struggle with being employed under someone or taking instructions? Be honest, it's okay. A lot of us have that. How many of you feel that I want to start my own company but I don't have an idea for it? How many of you think funds nahi hai yaar? Kiske saath karenge? Who do we start with? So with a mixed of hands, I can say that all of us have something or the other to deal with. So 69% of people, which is a weird statistics to have, are shit scared to do what they love. And trust me, it's all of you sitting in the audience who are really, really scared to do what they love. And by doing what you love can be food, fashion, digital marketing, or anything for that matter. And you know what you're scared of? It's not failure, it's to start. But honestly, I'll tell you something from my experiences. A diabetic chef had a kitchen that burned down completely. Nobody knows of it. It's not on paper because it burned down. Arey chala gaya. Some of my designs could not be printed properly on the fabrics. They were a waste of about $1.5 lakh. But it's okay. It's not the failure that actually mattered or counted. It's the learning I had. I would not repeat leaving my oven on and leaving the kitchen at night. I would make sure that someone shuts it. I would not go to the same printer and get that fabric printed or have an intern manage a celebrity with 1.8 million followers on Instagram and post her selfie instead of hers with 15,000 views in 5 seconds and get bashed as a company for it. So these are the mistakes that we actually learn with. These are the failures we learn with. So the first step is actually to be bold and is actually to start. You can contact me on Instagram if you have any doubts, or mail is more preferable because on my Instagram there will be someone else replying to you. Thank you so much for reaching out to Mr. Kedia. Or otherwise, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure coming back here after 10 years. That was Harsh Kedia for you guys.